Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today, and I'm going to tell you, I'm a little cranky, all right? But today's edition of Crime Talk simply will be, you can't make this stuff up. From dumb arguments to stupid and heinous acts, we'll leave it there. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. And remember to hit that little bell so that you get notifications of when we go live or put up new content. And remember, you can listen to us anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. So a couple things before we get to the docket today. All right, I'm a little cranky. And you say, well, why are you cranky? Well, I went to the DMV in Denver, and I spent 2 hours of my life down there that I will never get back, ladies and gentlemen. I really honestly can say I don't think I've ever seen anything with such incompetence than a DMV. And I know some people say, well, our DMV is really good. Okay, well, the one I went to today, terrible. And I tried to go there last week, but they were down. They were closed because they were doing maintenance. And then the week before, they were down because they had computer issues. Complete and utter incompetence. And then when you get the breakdown of all the fees with your license plates, it is ridiculous. They just keep nickel and diming everybody, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that's kind of got my, that really kind of got me fired up today. So anyway, let's get to it. Let's open the record and to begin the docket for Monday, July 29th, 2024. Now, this is just a stupid argument, okay? People are now reporting that one of the individuals that Justin Timberlake was drinking with the night that he got arrested offered to drive his rental car to her house after he was arrested for drunk driving last month. So basically, the attorney for Justin Timberlake, who says Mr. Timberlake was not guilty, we'll give him the presumption of innocence. There was no test, so it's going to be based upon the observations, and we'll see what and how he performed on those roadside maneuvers that are on body cam video, I am sure. But now the attorney for Mr. Timberlake says, you know what? I want to get this case dismissed because the officer's judgment was so bad because apparently the person that drove the car away was more intoxicated than Mr. Timberlake, and therefore the case against Mr. Timberlake should be dismissed. Okay, that's one of the dumbest arguments I've heard in a long, long time. First of all, do you think that woman is going to come to court and say, I was so drunk that I shouldn't have driven? She's got some Fifth Amendment issues. Okay, Mr. Highfalutin, powerful attorney, I know you had to think of that, right? And how is that relevant as to someone else taking the car? It's not. It's not relevant under 401. What element does it go to prove or disprove? Now, you can use it to raise the issues that somebody picked up the car, but the fact that she'd been drinking beforehand, like I said, are you going to prove Mr. Timberlake's friend to be drunk and maybe get her charged? Wow. Genius. Somehow I don't think that's going to work. Listen, he's charged with driving under influence. He'll get the driving while ability impaired. It's going to go on. He's going to get the standard fines, fees, and costs. It's that simple. So, Mr. Burke, Mr. Timberlake's attorney, I get it. Every case wants to be dismissed. I get it. It's a DUI. DUIs are so simple. Even a small child can properly fill out the paperwork for a DUI, and you have the body cam videos for the operation, for the presentation of how the defendant was there, even if you didn't have the breath or blood test. I don't know. It's just, that's stupid. I can't believe that I'm even talking about it because it's that ridiculous. Okay. Next, let's talk about a killer cop. I know we'll give him the presumption of innocence. However, it's not a whodunit, and he in fact did kill the person. I'm not sure what he's going to say. I guess the trial is going to be self-defense, but the sheriff deputy who killed the unarmed mom named Sonia Massey in her kitchen after she reported a suspected prowler needed high-stress decision-making classes. All right, this Sean Grayson guy, let's face it, when you hear the end of this, this guy should never have been a deputy sheriff. Now, sheriff's office, the Logan County Sheriff's Office, where he was employed when he killed Miss Massey, you need to get your checkbook out. Not just because he probably killed this woman in cold blood, but also because you were stupid enough to hire this guy. All right? Now, Sean Grayson received recommendations from the Logan County Sheriff's Office in Illinois after he failed to slow down when his boss called off a vehicle pursuit. He was driving around about 110 miles an hour and struck a deer just a few years before he shot Miss Massey in her kitchen over a pot of boiling water on July 6th. Now, Deputy Grayson pursued this truck through Lincoln County at a high rate of speed, reaching speeds of between 63 and a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And his bosses said that showed not good decision-making skills. And the report noted that Officer Grayson, Deputy Grayson's supervisors terminated the pursuit, and Grayson ultimately turned off his light. He then continued at a high rate of speed, up to 110 miles an hour, prior to striking the deer. Apparently, Deputy Grayson acknowledged the errors of his ways and said it was just because he had a lack of experience. It would go on to list a series of recommendations, including traffic stop training, report writing training, high-stress decision-making classes, and needs to read, understand, and discuss the issued Logan County Sheriff's Office policy. Now, it's unclear whether Deputy Grayson ever followed through on those recommendations. He resigned from the Logan County Sheriff's Office in April of 2023, and in the next month, he joined the Sheriff's Office in Sangamon County, where he shot Miss Massey in the face. Now, Miss Massey, who had a history of some mental health problems, called the police to her home in Springfield, Illinois, in the early hours of July 6th on the report of a prowler. The two Sangamon County Sheriff deputies responded to the call, and after a 30-minute search of the area in which they didn't find any suspect, the two went inside to Massey's home and engaged her in conversation. They then found a pot of boiling water on the stove, which Grayson asked her to shut off and basically threatened to shoot her. The body cam footage shows the young woman ducking and apologizing as the deputy fires 3 times. Now, the autopsy has determined that Miss Massey was shot in the face below the left eye, which caused her skull to fracture and perforated her carotid artery. That caused the brain to bleed before the bullet exited the back of her upper neck. Now, Massey also suffered from minor blunt force injuries to her right leg, according to the coroner. Now, Grayson had since been removed from the force and charged with first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a firearm, and official misconduct in Miss Massey's death. The former deputy who lost his job over the shooting pled not guilty to all charges, and he is currently being held in the jail awaiting trial. Now, he had a kind of a lengthy history of, not being a good guy, all right? First, he was discharged from the Army, which was listed under misconduct, serious offenses. Now, the Army didn't release all the information other than saying that Grayson was discharged, citing Privacy Act type of laws and things like that. I get it. But Grayson worked as a wheeled vehicle mechanic for the Army between May of 2014 and February of 2016, and he left with the rank of Private First Class. That'd be an E2, I believe, in the Army. Not exactly catapulting himself up the ranks there for sure. Anyway, during his time in the military, he was charged with a DUI offense in Illinois back in August of 2015 and another shortly after his discharge in 2016. Records also show that he paid thousands of dollars in fines for an unlawful act that his car was impounded after the 2015 incident. Now, Grayson has also jumped around from various police forces, working for 6 agencies in 4 years. Now, his first police job was at the Pawnee Police Department, where he held a part-time position between August of 2020 and July 2021. And according to the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Boards, he also worked at the Kincaid Police Department in February through May of 2021, the Virden Police Department in May of 2021 through December of 2021, and those were all part-time positions. Then he held a full-time position with the Auburn Police Department from July of 2021 through May of 2022, and the Logan County Sheriff's Office from May of 2022 to April of 2023, and he started in the Sangamon County in May of 2023. Maybe he just couldn't find a right fit for him. part-time. Usually if it's part-time, they even still want to bring you on full-time if you're good to go. But when you bounce around that many times in a short period of time, you got to wonder if there's a problem there. You really do. Could be completely innocent, just trying to better his advancement opportunities. But when you watch that video, the interaction, something's not right with that guy. I don't know. But why is somebody with 2 DUIs being allowed to be a police officer in the first place, right? Like I said before, public servants, you have a obligation to do it better and cleaner than everybody else since you're going to be enforcing the law. And it's kind of hypocritical of you to not be able to follow the law yourself and then hold everybody to a different standard. Just saying. All right. Next in the battle. How about this? A custody battle homicide. Yes. Once again, can't make this stuff up. How stupid is this? So Stephen Harris was killed, and his mother said her son was the typical 20-year-old college student. Well, investigators say his life was cut short by 3 people accused of plotting the young musician's murder while he was in custody battle with the child's mother. Now, it is alleged that Mr. Harris was picked up from his home by someone in an unfamiliar car on the evening of Wednesday, July 17th, and he was never seen again. Several days later, a body believed to be his was discovered, shot multiple times, and it was found in Mississippi. And he was from Louisiana, if I failed to mention that before. Anyway, the West Feliciana police deputies arrested Derek Hollins Jr., Kalaja, Calaja, Jack, and Elia Martin. Now, investigators say that Harris and Martin were in a custody battle over his young son, their young son. His mother believed it is the reason for his murder. Now, Mr. Hollins admitted that the gun used was his. Really, people? Right? You have 2 parents that want to be involved in a child's life, and the other parent thinks it's a good idea to go lure him, kidnap him, kill him in order to do that. So now the child will be raised by somebody other than the 2 parents. It's just ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. What are these people thinking? I don't get it. I do not get it. Next, Scott Peterson. Well, in about 45 days, he could find out if a piece of duct tape will give him a shot at a new trial. In an order filed July 24th, a judge outlined how DNA testing on a piece of duct tape recovered from Laci Peterson's pants at the time of her autopsy on April 13th, 2003 will proceed. For those who don't know, Scott Peterson is serving a life sentence for the 2002 murder of his pregnant wife, Laci Peterson, and their unborn son. The Los Angeles Innocent Project, not to be confused or associated with the Innocence Project, took over Scott Peterson's case back in January. Well, Judge Elizabeth Hill denied the defense motion to have DNA testing done on multiple pieces of evidence, delivering kind of a huge blow to Scott's quest for a new trial. But the 15.5-inch length of duct tape, however, is one of the items of physical evidence that the judge did, in fact, grant release for testing. Now, the latest order states that Pure Gold Forensic Inc. will conduct the DNA testing and lists the mandatory chain of command and testing methods. It also states that the DNA testing shall be conducted within 45 days of this order or as soon as practicable, and the final results will be filed under seal. Now, we'll have to wait and see. Now, if you may recall this case, Laci Peterson's body was found in the bay. And, Scott said he had gone out fishing when she disappeared and came home, couldn't find her, all the normal stuff. He, of course, says, no, she must have been the victim of a robbery/home invasion because there were some robberies that took place, and they want to test this piece of duct tape that was on her body, like probably to wrap her hands together or things like that. I'm going to go on a guess here. I'm going to speculate, ladies and gentlemen, that duct tape has no usable DNA on it, given the fact that it had been in the water for quite a while. Yeah, going on a limb here. So once again, stupid. But hey, if they want to test it, let them test it. Next, this guy thought no one would ever find her. Yes, we journey here to the state of Colorado. On July 25th, a jury convicted Casey Childers of kidnapping and murdering Rachel Holloman back in 2021. Now, following investigation by the Aurora Police Department, deputies with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, they found her body more than a month after her disappearance along the embankment of Colorado 83, which is near South Parker Road. Now, the coroner's report determined that the victim died from a gunshot wound to the head. Now, police in Fort Collins initially took a missing persons report, and a preliminary investigation there, which included victim statements, revealed that Holloman was in Colorado with Childers and a co-conspirator, Chantel Edlund, for the purpose of distributing drugs. The Fort Collins Police Department determined that the last known location of Holloman was in the city of Aurora, and they turned their investigation over to the Aurora Police Department. Aurora investigators later determined that Holloman was kidnapped by Childers, Edlund, and a third co-conspirator, a guy by the name of Leo Van Burskek, on or about November 6th of 2021, near Colfax and Victor Street in a Chevy Malibu. For those who don't know, Colfax, the longest street in America, continuous street, I do believe, is the case. Well, it also has some very bad stretches about it, known for lots of drugs and prostitution. And yes, it's pretty much a long way throughout Colfax. There's drugs, prostitution, crime. It's a little worse as you head east into Aurora. Not throwing stones, just speaking the truth. Anyway, on November 7th of 2021, the Douglas County's deputies responded to the unrelated burglary call, and they drove past the Chevy Malibu on Parker Road, which was apparently captured on some dash cam. One of the deputies ran the license plate on the Chevy Malibu, which later helped investigators connect the car and the location to the Miss Holloman's disappearance. Then on December 29th of 2021, police in Sheridan, Wyoming conducted a traffic stop on the same Chevrolet sedan registered to Edlund. During the traffic stop, police arrested Edlund, Childers, and Van Burskek on unrelated drug charges and warrants. Now, based upon statements made by Edlund, along with the dash cam footage, the Aurora Police Department, Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and the Douglas County Search and Rescue Team flew a drone over the surrounding area and found Miss Holloman's body. The efforts of the investigation with the Aurora Police Department, along with the supporting law enforcement agencies across Colorado and Wyoming, led to the arrest and the ultimate convictions of Childers, Edlund, and Van Burskek. Now, Edmund pled guilty to conspiracy to commit second-degree murder. She was sentenced to 18 years in the Department of Corrections. Leo Van Burskek pled guilty to conspiracy to commit second-degree murder and second-degree kidnapping, and he has sentencing later this year. Now, Childers, who was identified as the shooter, was convicted by a jury of the following offenses. This may take a second: first-degree murder after deliberation, second-degree kidnapping, conspiracy to commit second-degree kidnapping, and the evidence shows this defendant senselessly murdered and left her body in a remote part of the county where he thought no one would ever find her. Fortunately, the alert deputy responded to a different call, took the time to run a plate to which helped narrow down the search for Rachel. Now, following the guilty convictions, Childers was sentenced immediately to life in prison without the possibility of parole on the first-degree murder charge. That's the way you do it, ladies and gentlemen. You lose on first-degree murder, life without parole. You just go straight to immediate sentencing. Like, let's bring it on. It is what it is at that point. In addition to the life sentence Mr. Childers was given, he also received another 32 years on top of that for the second-degree kidnapping charge and 16 years for conspiracy to commit second-degree murder kidnapping. Both sentences will run concurrent to the life sentence. So he has got that going for him, ladies and gentlemen. He's only got that life sentence without the possibility of parole, which means he was going to die in prison. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that violence would be associated with drug dealing? Right? Why do you think we have all those laws relating to guns and drugs, which complicate everything? Because being a drug dealer is a dangerous business. More than likely, someone on the other side of that deal is thinking about robbing you and taking your product or your money, or keeping the money and taking your product. That's just the way it is. And apparently, sometimes if you double cross somebody, you could wind up with a bullet in the back of your head dumped on a side of a road. Just saying. All right, speaking of, you just can't make this stuff up, in today's edition, take a look at this of a man falling asleep on a Brooklyn train station staircase with an illegally possessed and loaded and exposed firearm. Now, apparently, this guy is quite well known to the police, and he was arrested after police found him asleep in the subway station with a loaded gun easily seen sticking out of his waistband. Now, Lawrence Costa was busted around 6:40 a.m. Sunday when the officers walking through the station saw a black firearm in plain view. The body cam footage shows officers walking up to someone asleep on the subway stairs with the gun sticking into the belt below a bright blue and yellow hoodie. It doesn't get much easier than this, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, Mr. Costa faces multiple criminal possession of weapon charges. That means he shouldn't have had it because he's a felon. But no, he can't have that. He is a felon. He knows he can't possess that. How did he possibly get that? Oh, I guess that's right. Yes, they don't follow the rules, ladies and gentlemen. I just don't know how else to say it. Anyway, needless to say, Mr. Acosta was taken into custody without incident. Okay, I'm not even sure what to do with this because, like I said, as I was preparing for today's show, I was just flabbergasted at the conduct of everybody. And I guess the question is, this guy's certainly not going to be the boyfriend of the year, I guess, right? But the real question is how many girlfriends will he have while he's in custody? Maybe married? I'm guessing. On July 24th, 2024, Mandico Quadzo was convicted by a jury of first-degree murder. The jury also found true the allegation that Quadzo used a firearm in the commission of the murder. Now, Quadzo was also convicted of being in possession of a firearm as well as a felon. So back on July 27th, 2020, the West Sacramento police officers were dispatched to a report of shots fired inside a residence. A few moments later, a witness reported seeing the victim, Carolina Clayton, and Quadzo having an argument on the driveway of the residence. The victim was then seen getting into a car with her 4 small children and Quadzo getting into the passenger seat as she pulled out of the driveway. When the officers arrived on scene, they found evidence of a shooting inside the residence. That night, a man was at Cliffs Marina in Sacramento County when he heard a gunshot followed by a car crashing into the Sacramento River. He called a friend, and when the two got to the crash scene to help, they saw the victim's car partially submerged in the river. Now, Quadzo was standing nearby the car and not doing anything to help. When they looked into the car, they found the victim unresponsive in the driver's seat and her 4 children in the back seat. The oldest, 6 years old, had already unbuckled all of their seatbelts, but the youngest, the 2-year-old child, was still in the car seat. The 2 men got to the children and got them out safely. Now, the police responded, and they found the victim did not have a pulse with severe bleeding from her head. At that time, it was believed it was a car accident until the oldest child told that Quadzo shot his mother. Quadzo was taken into custody. It was later determined the victim suffered 2 gunshot wounds to her head. The gun was never located, probably in the river somewhere. Anyway, Quadzo faces a maximum sentence of 53 years to life in prison. The sentencing is set for September 6, 2024. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Quadzo, I just, what depravity. I mean, the depravity and the horrible things that other human beings can do to other people. He's been convicted. He's going to get sentenced. I hope he gets the maximum sentence. People that cannot behave in society like civilized human beings need to go to prison. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. It is that simple. And I'm a criminal defense attorney. Yes, give them a fair trial, but if they're convicted, that's the way it's going to be for crimes of violence like this. And if you thought things couldn't get even more bizarre and more dumb, well, wait for our dumb criminal of the day. Please meet Lauren Riley. Now, she was a passenger in a car that was pulled over Saturday morning after driving without a seatbelt. Now the police pull him over, make the traffic stop, and they notice that Miss Riley was moving items around on the vehicle's floorboard. That's called furtive movement, ladies and gentlemen. It's suspicious activity. They could be hiding a gun under there. Next thing you know, officers are pulling everybody out of the car so that, officer safety reasons. Anyway, when police peered into the auto, they allegedly spotted drug paraphernalia, which prompted probable cause an examination of the vehicle and its contents. The resulting search, cops report, they turned up a bag inside Miss Riley's purse labeled bag of drugs. That's right, bag of drugs. Inside the bags, police alleged, was a needle, straws, and a metal spoon, 4 glass pipes, and a plastic baggie with a white-colored residue. A small bag inside the bag of drugs contained crack cocaine, powdered cocaine, some crystal meth, some Xanax pills, and a sundry of other narcotics. Now, needless to say, the bag of drugs resulted in Riley's arrest on a variety of felony charges and misdemeanor paraphernalia counts. Miss Riley is being held in the custody, but guess what? The bag of drugs is not going with her. That's all evidence against her at her future court date. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, just a little grumpy this morning. I think it was the DMV. It was the DMV. And that's why I didn't even do an intro, because all the stories were absolutely absurd, from stupid arguments to people doing horrific things to our dumb criminal of the day. Anyway, I promise I won't be so agitated tomorrow. That's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And yes, the Constitution matters, ladies and gentlemen.